You're listening to Popstar Conversations, taking you inside with your favorite musical artists.
Today, Chuck and I have the privilege of sitting here with the one and only Neil Diamond. Welcome to our show.
Neil, thank you for joining us. First of all, I want to ask you, how did you select these 14 songs for this record, Dreams?
I selected these songs because first I felt I could sing them and sing them in a way that was unique to myself without copying someone else's recording that I happen to love. I loved all of these songs, and I wanted to try singing them. I'd never sung any of them before, except for I'm a Believer. But even that, I always sung in a completely different way. But that's it. I wanted to be able to sing some of these songs and give a little bit of a new perspective on them, just by singing them myself. The records were sparse. The performances turned out to be intimate, but I wanted to just to be able to sing them and re-experience them. Being a singer, not a writer, a singer, which is a joyful experience. It's an album that I'd wanted to do for a long time, and I just decided to do it. This was a good time. Take a little rest between the self-writing albums and just enjoy the act of singing and singing songs that I've always loved.
Would this be the ultimate nostalgic song record for you?
Yeah, it is kind of like that. The ultimate outside song collection, songs by other people from the era that I grew up in, from the rock era. They're among the best songs of my era, I think. I don't know if it was a better time musically. It's just a time that resonates with me. Maybe I was impressionable, more impressionable with a lot of these songs at the time they came out and over the years, but they're just songs I fell in love with somewhere along the way and wanted to try myself as a singer.
You delivered an incredible version of Aint No Sunshine. How does that differ from any other covers that have been done?
Thank you. Well, I'd never heard any of the cover records. I heard Bill Withers' record, which I loved. So what you do is you do everything but Bill Withers' version. You find another way to interpret the song, and it's going to be different in any event, whether I try or not, because it's me, it's my sensitivity, and you're going to get a different song.
There's another song, Alone Again Naturally by Gilbert O'Sullivan. What was in that song that really inspired you to want to record it?
It is a brilliant and sensitive, moving song. It's a little shocking for a youngster in his early 20s to have written, but I felt that I could tell the story, and I wanted to. I wanted the story to be heard. I think his version was more of a record. A lot of people weren't aware of the lyric and the story, and it was secondary. It was a wonderful record, but the song itself is substantial, and I wanted it to be heard.
Of all the songs that you could have picked of the Beatles, why Blackbird?
Because I could sing it.
And you put a Cajun spin on it.
Yeah, well, I felt I could sing it, and I felt I could add something to it.
And the Beatles song Yesterday, you did a great rearrangement.
Yeah, also, giving it my own spin, my own interpretation.
The Beatles, they must have been very important for everyone of that time.
They were very important for me. They gave me the opportunity to become an artist. I was trying to be just a songwriter, and I didn't do very well. But they opened the gates, really, that Bob Dylan opened a little bit, and they flung them open even more for the songwriter to perform their own material. It gave me a little more credibility on the streets, even though I was still knocking on doors and trying to get work. People listened a little harder.
But the British invasion of the 60s, that must have changed the whole game.
Yeah, absolutely. That changed the whole ball game. It changed all the rules. It made it possible for me to become an artist and to do my own material. It was becoming a commonplace thing.
When you're covering a song, say, like Desperado, obviously the melody is incredible. How important is the lyric for you?
I never took it that far. I never examined or analyzed the lyric, but there was something about it that resonated, that rang a bell in me and lived in my subconscious. And it's a beautiful lyric. And I had to try it.
Now that you've recorded this cover album, will there be another?
Well, if I get hit by a bus, I'll let the record company put it out, but otherwise, the next one will be self-written.
Will you be doing another record with Rick Rubin?
We started to talk about, and we're still talking about, what kind of an album we could do. Usually it's based on the writing first, the songs first. But this Dreams album kind of took center stage once I started doing it. It was really an accident that I started. I just wanted to get into the studio and sing as an upper, just to make me feel good. And I didn't have any new songs of mine, so I just picked out some songs that I loved over the years. And I came into the studio every Friday and sang for 3 or 4 hours and played guitar and did it for months. And after a period of time, I actually listened carefully to the recordings and I thought, this is good. This is something I loved doing, and just because it wasn't hard, it wasn't agonizing, it didn't tear my guts out, that doesn't mean that it's not worthwhile. It's not worthy of being put out as an album. It's my take on some wonderful songs. So I played it for my management, and she said, I think you should put it out. It's good. And I went to the record company, and they said, we want to put it out. It's good. Finish it up. So, I mean, at that point, I had my mission laid out for me. And I recorded a bunch more of these songs that I loved, finished them up, glued them together, and here we are, put them out.
Neil, I wanted to ask you about your recording studio, Archangel. It must lend to your creativity of having your own space.
I've been here for 35 years. I record in other studios once in a while, but this is like home to me. I can close the studio door, no distractions, no disturbances, and I can work. I don't have to worry about renting a studio somewhere and having strangers milling about. And this is home. This is my creative cocoon.
Before I forget, I have another question about this record. Most of the songs are from the 60s and the 70s. Why did you wait so long to record them?
Yeah, I just never saw the opportunity to make this kind of an album. And it just became very clear to me and very apparent that this was the time. If not now, when was I going to do it?
You sold 128 million albums. What motivates you to continue?
I don't know if there are goals, and I don't know what gets me up and gets me running in the morning, because I hit the ground running. But and it's as I get older, it's more insistent. Maybe it's the fact that I'm, down to the final quarter of the game, and I have to make it count. And I felt that very strongly with the 2 albums I did with Rick. I had to make those songs count. I worked very hard, very, very hard. There was very little fun involved in writing it. I had fun recording it with the musicians in the studio, but the writing of it was very, very intense, and I didn't enjoy it at all.
I understand that you wanted to become a biologist. Do you think that would have fulfilled you?
Yeah, I think I would have been good because I'm kind of driven. I get into what I do 100%, and I definitely would have been involved up to my neck in that. Unfortunately, I could never pass chemistry in college, so my future was very uncertain in that area.
Neil, this has been an absolute pleasure. Thank you again for coming on our show.
Thank you.
Neil, it was a great honor to have you here.
Thank you again for listening to Popstar Conversations. Be sure to click the subscribe button below and hit the red bell so that you'll be notified of our next exclusive interview.
Thank you for listening to Popstar Conversations. Please join us again for another conversation with your favorite musical artist.